Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead. We are getting ready now to start planting our seed potatoes. Before we can plant our seed potatoes, we need about a week or two of curing process for those potatoes. Now here at Deep South Homestead, we actually cut the eyes off of our potatoes and cure them. Now there is a process that's called chitting. This is not a process that we use here at Deep South Homestead. Chitting is a process that basically just means to sprout a potato is what it means. It's where you'll see some videos, people will take the whole potato and put it in like an egg carton and sit it out into the sunlight a little bit, where it actually starts growing the little sprouts on it, and then they'll take it and put that part up in the ground and plant the whole potato. Here at Deep South Homestead, we plant so many potatoes that it would not be beneficial for us to do that, because that is, to us, to plant a whole potato is a waste of potatoes, because we need around 400 pounds of potatoes in our cellar to be able to make it through an entire year. And it would take a lot of whole potatoes to plant to make 400 pounds, and it just wouldn't be feasible. So we do a process. I'm not sure there's a name for it here in the Deep South, but we just basically cut our potatoes up. We cut the eyes off of them. We like to make sure there's a big enough piece of potato that it has at least 2 eyes on it, and it's a large enough piece of potato that it still has enough sugar in it and starches to actually get this potato up and growing, and keep it, keep it viable in the ground until it actually makes plants and makes a good root. In other words, a plant can live off of that potato until it gets a good root system established. Now we are going to be planting about 40 pounds this year. So we're fixing to take you along and show you how we cut our potatoes. A lot of people put ash on their potatoes after they cut them. Some people use lime. There's a lot of different processes. Baking soda, I've heard of a lot of different things. Flour, different things like that. Here at Deep South Homestead, we don't do that. We just cut them. We spread them out in a pan or boxes and stuff, and we put them outside on the handrails of our porch to let the sun kind of start turning the sugars in them to starch. And once they scab over and heal, we let them sit in the house and cure in a cool room for about a week or so. And then we try to get them in the ground after that, because they've cured over. So we're going to take you along on that process and show you how we do it here at Deep South Homestead. And we're cutting them into pieces. We try to leave 2 or 3 eyes on each piece. And what we'll do is we'll let this set for a week or so. And this will form a starch, will form a crust over this, and it will actually cure. What we will do is we'll take them after the 2-week period to letting them sit and cure. And we'll be putting them in the ground, because it's getting time in the south here to get our potatoes in. Now this is the 50-pound bag that we have here. And these are the potatoes. You see, they still have the dirt on them. They're just plain. These are the red Lesotas. We have found that in the Deep South here, this potato does best for us. And then, like I said, what we'll do is we'll look around. There's like 3 eyes right here. And we'll take our knife. We got these eyes cut off here, as you notice. So you can see there's 3 or 4 eyes on each piece. And we like a big piece of potato, because it seems to have more nutrition in it to help the potato last till it gets to growing good. And we keep looking around, and we'll find another place here. We've got another eye. Cut that off. We've got an eye starting to form right there. We try to get more than 1 eye if we can, but if we can't, we don't worry about it. We just go ahead and cut the potato up. And I try to turn them over like that so they'll start curing a lot faster. If y'all are wondering, this knife that I'm using here was one that Ricky Wallace from Wallace Knife Works made for us. Here it's a jam up little knife from Deep South Homestead on the side of it. We use these little knives for all kinds of things here in the kitchen. If y'all need a knife, go see Ricky on his channel, Wallace Knife Works. Ricky makes some fantastic knives. We're going to keep cutting here. We've got a whole 50-pound bag to go. We just try to, like I said, look around. find the eyes. You'll see there's an eye right there. We cut the eye off, and that's really all there is to it. And then you've got the curing process to go through. And once they've cured, they're ready to go in the ground. In 2 weeks, they're ready to go in the ground. Okay guys, here you can see our Irish potatoes. We have them cut up, sitting on the handrails outside like I was telling you. We're letting the sun and the cool weather kind of go ahead and start turning the sugars into the starch and letting them scab over. They're all looking good. We want to keep them spread out so that they're not piled on top of one another too much, because if you leave them piled up too much, they will mold. So this is what we do in the process we use here at Deep South Homestead. Okay guys, this is after a week of curing. This is what they're looking like right here. You see how they've formed a crust over them? They're no longer wet and shiny. They've got a good firm crust over them. They're good and firm now. Same with these. These are all good, nice potatoes. These are ready. You see the eye, it's done starting to kind of grow a little bit there. Let's see if we can get another one here. There's another eye in that one coming up, looking like it's going to be pretty good. This eye right here is done starting to form in the end and starting to pop out. Maybe let's check one of these others out here. Yep, that one's done starting to grow a little bit. We're getting ready to, guys, once you get to this point with them where they're dried like this and they're good and firm, you want to try within 1 to 2 weeks to get these things in the ground, and try to get them, you know, where they start growing and doing some, getting some root systems on them. You don't want to leave them out too long, because if you leave them out too long, I'm going to show you what will actually end up happening here to some of them. You see how this one looks here? It'll begin to, this is one I cut that was just a little bit too thin, didn't have much meat left on it. You see it? Now it'll still make a potato if I go ahead and get it in the ground, but if this sits out here another week or so, this thing will just shrivel on up to nothing. So we've got to go ahead and get these in the ground pretty soon if this weather will let up where we can. One thing I might want to mention, you don't want to put them in the ground when it's too wet, because these could rot. This is the sole purpose of letting them cure like this and getting some, you know, kind of slated over like this, is so that they won't rot. Y'all hear the goats in the background. They hear my voice and they go to hollering. So, all right guys, out of a 50-pound bag of potatoes, we gave away 10 pounds of them to a friend who needed some potatoes, which left us with 40 pounds of seed potatoes. Now, had we took this 40 pounds of seed potatoes and done the chitting process here in our house, we'd have had 40 pounds of potatoes sitting around here in our house. And had we planted those 40 pounds, we would have only ended up with around 80 to 100 pounds of Irish potatoes out of them. And that's not feasible for us here at Deep South Homestead. That's what I was telling you in the beginning of the video. We, by cutting them up, increased our harvest from 80 to 100 pounds of potatoes to anywhere between 350 and 400 pounds of potatoes. Now, we may even exceed that amount, I don't know. But by cutting them up into pieces, that allows us to plant more potatoes out of the 40 pounds than we would if we just actually stuck the whole potato in the ground. And it seems like that's more of a frugal way for us to increase our harvest here at Deep South Homestead. Now, it's a little bit more of a process to go through, but it increases the harvest. And that's what we're all about, is being frugal and increasing the harvest as much as we can without, I mean, guys, if we'd have chitted enough potatoes to get 400 pounds of potatoes, I don't know that my dining room, I wouldn't have anywhere to get in here, because there'd be so many of them all over the floor everywhere. And to us, that just doesn't make good sense. It's just like a waste of potatoes when we can cut them up and increase our harvest. So I wanted to share that with y'all in this video. A lot of you are looking for ways to stretch what you have and to have a better increase out of your harvest. And this is one of the ways we do it here at Deep South Homestead. So thank y'all from Deep South Homestead.